Word to brothers and sisters, welcome back to Haiku. I do, and it's about that good hip hop music, man. That's really what we're about on this platform. Now, a couple of days ago, I was watching this podcast, and these two guys were reviewing Areece's EP, The Burning Tree, and they were talking about how it actually sounds mid, and that Areece hasn't improved as a rapper. And it got me thinking that I think a lot of people are listening to Areece, but they're not actually hearing what he's saying, right? So I feel like his writing has improved to a point where he could be saying something simple, but if you're not trying to go deep into the meaning in terms of how he writes conceptually, then I feel like you could easily miss everything that he's talking about. So the standout song for me in the entire EP is a song called Bellator. And there I think he does something very interesting where he's trying to show you that he raps as a sport, but also he smokes weed as a sport. So what he does is he combines the two using a lot of sports references, which I think is quite interesting and definitely deserves some kind of a lyrical breakdown. So in today's video, I'm gonna get into that song called Bellator by Areece, and he's featuring IMP Tha Don. So without wasting any time, man, let's just jump straight into it.
Yeah. Picture me rolling like pot. Nah, picture me rolling all this weed that I got. Niggas thought we wouldn't leave the block, nigga.
Yo, the beat is crazy. The beat is insane. Like I have to run that back a bit. This beat is crazy.
All this weed that I got. Niggas thought we wouldn't leave the block, nigga. Yeah, picture me rolling like pot. Nah, picture me rolling all this weed that I got. Nothing less than a lot. There's nothing on the stove when I say I'm burning the pot. The ball was in my brother's court. He made sure to pass me the rock.
Okay, so here he says picture me rolling like Pac, and then he lets the beat roll, and then he comes back again to repeat the same line to say picture me rolling like Pac. And I think the reason he's doing that, he's trying to paint two scenarios. The first scenario is Tupac has a song called Picture Me Rolling, right? And in the song, Tupac is riding around in a Benz, a convertible. And I think he also has a line there where he says, picture me rolling in a $500 Benz, right? And there's a picture of him in a Benz there. And also Areece on the video for the song Tough Luck, there's actually Areece in a Benz convertible. I think his girlfriend is there also. So he's just saying picture me rolling like Pac, because Areece is rolling like Pac, like in the song Picture Me Rolling by Tupac, right? That's the first scenario. The second scenario is picture me rolling like Pac. If you know Tupac, you know that he likes to roll weed. I think there's some of his interviews where he's actually rolling a blunt, like on an actual interview, right? So that's another comparison that Pac used to like rolling weed, and also Areece likes to roll weed as well. And Pac used to say that you never roll weed with white paper, so you always have to use brown paper. And Areece, if you look at the visual for this EP, the joint that he's smoking is not rolled with white paper. He's rolling with brown paper according to Pac's instructions. So in those two instances, he's basically rolling like Pac, right? And then he says, picture me rolling all this weed that I got. Nothing less than a lot. Obviously, he smokes a lot of weed. And then there's nothing on the stove when I say that I'm burning the pot, right? Because cooking pots are on the stove. But when he says there's nothing on the stove, it means he's not talking about cooking pots. He's talking about pot, which is another word for weed. The ball was in my brother's court. He made sure to pass me the rock. Now that's a basketball reference, right? Because in basketball, if you're hogging the ball too much, they say pass the rock, which means you need to, pass it on to the other player. So yeah, it says that the ball is in my brother's court, meaning another meaning to that is basically the whole puff and pass situation. That when you're smoking weed, you're not supposed to hog the blunt. You're supposed to keep it moving. You're supposed to pass it. So he's painting those two pictures to say the ball is in my brother's court, meaning his brother's got the weed. He needs to pass it to him, right? He made sure to pass the rock, which is to pass it to him. So that's very dope.
Yeah, picture me rolling like pot. Nah, picture me rolling all this weed that I got. Nothing less than a lot. There's nothing on the stove when I say I'm burning the pot. The ball was in my brother's court. He made sure to pass me the rock. Feeling like Kobe at the Rucker Park with the orange top. Tomahawk dunking the shot. Trying to prove that I'm willing you not. Let's not fill my pockets with knots. I already got it on lock. You should be earning your spot. Michael just sent me this chop. I'm about to set it on fire.
And then he says, feeling like Kobe at the Roker Park with the orange top, Tomahawk dunking the shot. So there's that classic match where Kobe Bryant, may his soul rest in peace, he was actually at the Roker Park, the famous basketball court in New York. And on that match, he was just dunking them shots, right? He was doing the Tomahawk dunk shot, which is a shot where you need to jump up high in order to slam the ball into the net, right? They call that the Tomahawk dunk. And the way he says that, he says he's feeling like Kobe because there's a picture of Areece where he's wearing a basketball top and he looks high as fuck, right? And I think he's comparing himself there visually to say, to do the Tomahawk dunk, you need to be up high, right? So that you can slam the ball. And in that picture of Areece with a basketball top, he also looks high. So that comparison of Areece being high because he was, basically taking blunt shots, and Kobe Bryant being high in the sky to take, the basketball shot. So that direct comparison there visually, I think that's what makes this line so compelling. And then he moves on to say, to prove that I'm real and you're not. Right, because everything that he raps about in his music is actually real. He's not capping. That's why when he makes lines like these, you can actually go back to check the facts to make sure that this is actually something that happens. That's why he says to prove that I'm really, basically prove that I'm real and you're not. And then he says, let's not fill my pocket with nuts, right? And he's talking about peanuts, to say, do not pay him peanuts. Let's not fill my pocket with nuts. I already got it on lock. He's already figured this rap thing out. So you shouldn't be underpaying him at this point. But also he's playing on lock nuts, And then he says, you should be earning a spot. Michael just sent me this chop. And a chop, it's like a sample. So when you're sampling a song, they call it a chop. So Michael has sent him a chop, a sample. And a sample is basically a joint, right? But a joint of a track, but joint of a blunt as well. So Michael sent him a chop. He's about to set it on fire, which means he's about to rap on the song. But also, since it's a joint, he's about to smoke basically the joint. So those direct comparisons there as well. Too dope, too nice, man.
Feeling like Kobe at the Rucker Park with the orange top. Tomahawk dunking the shot. Trying to prove that I'm willing you not. Let's not fill my pockets with knots. I already got it on lock. You should be earning your spot. Michael just sent me this chop. I'm about to set it on fire. Add a little mint, pepper sauce, kicking raps, throwing punches like a Bellator sport. You cannot critique the form. Your favorite rapper needs to put his best foot forward. Better yet, tell your favorite rapper I could write his best verse for him. You cannot afford it yet. Tell your
Okay, add a little mint, pepper sauce, kicking raps, throwing punches like a Bellator sport. So a Bellator is basically a fighter, right? So he's saying he's kicking raps, because fighters kick raps. They throw punches, and they do raps basically, like at the gym. So kicking raps, but also he's talking about rapping. He's kicking raps, he's throwing punchlines like a Bellator sport. That's why you cannot critique his form, because he's in good form physically, but he also talking about being in good form, when it comes to his raps, right? Your favorite rapper needs to put his best foot forward. Better yet, tell your favorite rapper I could write his best verse for him. So what he does there is critique the form, best foot forward, and best verse for him. The way he says that is he's creating homophones, which is quite sick.
Your favorite rapper needs to put his best foot forward. Better yet, tell your favorite rapper I could write his best verse for him. You cannot afford to wage war, you're still in the training course. I was a major tool in creating the wave they on. They study the way I move, maybe I should create a course, of course. I'm on track on every track, them niggas is off course, I quote.
Okay, let's just start where he says, you cannot afford to wage war. You're still in the training course, which means you cannot afford to challenge him, right? To wage war, it's to challenge someone. You can't battle him or, get into beef with him because you're still in a training course. You're still an amateur in this rap shit, right? But he's playing on the word wage war there, right? Because a wage war is a salary dispute. So if you're still in a training course, when you're still an intern, you can't get into a salary dispute. You can't negotiate your salary when you're in a training course, when you're an intern. So you cannot afford to be in a salary dispute, like literally afford. So his use of afford, wage war, training course, right? He's talking about two things that are connected, but the way he says that, man, it's too dope. And then he says, I was a major tool in creating the wave they're on. They studied the way I move. Maybe I should create a course, of course, right? I mean, he basically created a wave. Him and Mesh Beats, they've created a sound that if you listen to a lot of projects that are coming out, especially in Pretoria, everyone is using that formula that Mesh and Areece basically started, right? That's why he's saying he was a major tool in creating the wave, right? He did it independently. A lot of artists are now trying to do it independently. So it's the wave that he did. They're looking at the way he moves. Maybe he should create a course, right? For them to study him properly, he must create like an educational course. But I think he's also playing on golf course there, right? On a golf course, because in a golf course, people follow a player, right? When he's busy playing through the course, they follow him and they study the way he moves, because in golf you literally have to study how a player moves, right? The way they stand, the posture, how they hold the club, how they hit. So it's you study how a person moves when it comes to golf. So I should create a golf, of course, So I think that's what he's playing on there. And then he says, I'm on track on every track. And them niggas is off course. On track on every track, he's referring to track and field, the sport for athletes, to say he's on track, these niggas are off course, meaning these niggas are not in the same lane that he's running in. He's running the race that he's running, the other niggas are not on that lane. So they are basically off course, which is it's insane.
I'm on track on every track. Them niggas is off course. I quote, my brains are an extension of me. Who would have thought the king would be a kid from Danville, like Station 3?
My brands are an extension of me. He says, I quote, my brands are an extension of me, which is true. I mean, the merchandise that he's selling, it's under Reese Effect, I think. So he's Areece and the merchandise is under Reese Effect. So it's an extension of him, of who he basically is. And who would have thought, the king would be a kid from Danville Extension 3, which is in Pretoria, I think it should be.
I'm on track on every track. Them niggas is off course. I quote, my brains are an extension of me. Who would have thought the king would be a kid from Danville, like Station 3? Papa was a rolling stone. Now his young nigga out here rolling cones. The Godfather call me Carleone. I'm on the rise, so they call me Don. Smoking flowers got me in the zone.
Papa was a rolling stone, which I think is a reference to the classic song by The Temptations called Papa Was a Rolling Stone. And it talks about fathers who are never at home, right? A deadbeat father, or a father who never basically sleeps at home, who's always on the street. So he says, Papa was a rolling stone. Now his young nigga is out here rolling cones, which a cone with weed talk, it's actually a blunt, which is like thin here by the tip, and then it goes bigger as it goes towards the end. So because it's kind of like shaped like a cone, right? So it's just playing on that line to say Papa is a rolling stone, meaning he was never home. Now the young nigga is rolling cones, so rolling stones and rolling cones, so that's a dope play there. And then he says, the Godfather call me Corleone, which is Don Corleone from the Godfather series. I'm on the rise, so they call me the Don. Well, his name is IMP Tha Don, right? They call him Don, but he's playing on the word dawn as in DAWN, which means in the morning before the sun rises. They call it the dawn. That's why he's on the rise, meaning he's rising up in the game, in the hip hop game, the same way the sun rises at dawn. So that's dope there.
Now his young nigga out here rolling cones. The Godfather call me Corleone. I'm on the rise, so they call me Don. Smoking flowers got me in the zone. Get on the planet that I'm living on through the songs. The boy made the call, now you know what's going on. I've been rapping since the war started happening up in Lebanon. Michael chopped it, so I had to get my shit off.
He says, I've been rapping since the war started happening in Lebanon. Now the war in Lebanon started like in the 1980s, so I don't think he was rapping then. He was probably not even born. But with Lebanon, I mean, there's been so many, you know, wars that happened subsequent to that. You know, apart from the civil war, there was the invasion of the Israelis as well. So he could be talking about a number of wars, but I don't think he's speaking about the 80s. I don't think he was born then.
The boy made the call, now you know what's going on. I've been rapping since the war started happening up in Lebanon. Michael chopped it, so I had to get my shit off. I smoke the shit and get lost, make music like a wizard. These niggas feel the blizzard, no rolling with the Rizzler. We are not beginners, they better get the picture. The captain, I'm the skipper.
I smoke shit and get lost, make music like a wizard. These niggas feel the blizzard, not rolling with the Rizzler. Again, in keeping with Tupac's instructions, you never roll with Rizzler. You don't roll with white paper. White paper is for spending. When it comes to rolling weed, you do not use white paper. And then, yeah, we're not beginners. They better get the picture. The captain, I'm the skipper. Because, you know, a skipper is a captain of a ship, basically.
We are not beginners, they better get the picture. The captain, I'm the skipper.
The skipper could also be a play on an old television series, but I don't think he's referring to it. There's an old television series called The Skipper, which is based on this, what's that place? Fuck, it's an island. I forgot the name. I forgot the name of the island. But yeah, there's a movie called The Skipper, and the main character on that series is actually a captain. So yeah, I think that's the end of my reaction. And you know what I really appreciate about, you know, the guys from Pretoria is the camaraderie that they actually have. You know, you'll never find a project by Areece where he doesn't feature all the other guys from Pretoria. And same thing with the other guys. You know, every time one of them drops a project, they always make sure that, you know, they feature each other, which is very good for the sport. I mean, I personally prefer Areece when he's rapping alone on a song. But what I do appreciate is the spirit of camaraderie that they actually have to make sure that they feature on each other's projects. I mean, that's how you literally, you know, grow the whole hip hop game. So yeah, definitely have to shout them out for that. But yeah, that is basically the end of my reaction to Areece's song called Bellator. And remember, take care of your mental, and peace, love, and I'm out of here.